Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Happy Tuesday night. Look at the rebel over there saying he's going to look at his computer when we're going live.
Hey,
How is
I'm
everybody? Happy
working.
Tuesday. Hop on and tell us where you are viewing from. Love to hear from you. Let's see here now. Come on, comment, jump in, tell us hello.
Come on, come on.
Yep. Okay. Big news of the week for us. About 4 weeks ago, we announced that we had a grandbaby, a little girl. Well, guess what happened also this week?
Another one.
Another grandbaby. This one weighed 8 pounds, 14 ounces, so a little bit smaller. So our children are officially marrying and producing and giving us grandkids. So that was exciting news for us this week. But listen, pop on, tell us who you are, where you're looking, what you're drinking, and where you're streaming from. Very interested to know. Today, we are going to cover an article of brutal honesty.
Brutal.
Yeah, like when I read it, I was a skeptic. I'm not gonna not gonna lie. I was like, come on. So I think you guys are going to find it interesting. Hey, there's Mr. OL saying
Hey, Mr. Oil.
congratulations. Thank you so much from Virginia. Thank you. We are excited. I think this outnumbers, the girls are now outnumbering the boys, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So we have 3 boys, 5 girls. So yeah, they're coming right along. Christmas is getting bigger and bigger. Hey, Mr. OL, the shopping is getting more and more complicated. I'll tell you what. Yeah, this many grandbabies. This is fun though. All right, guys, I have a question for you tonight. This one's going to be funny. And like I said, we're going to be the skeptic. We are playing the role of skeptic tonight. Okay.
There you go.
Here we go. All right. Be honest. When a realtor says it's a great time to buy, what is your gut reaction? Okay. Hey, Purple
Hey,
Drink's
Purple
checking
Drink.
in. Hello. Okay. All right. So options for reactions. Number 1, do you trust them?
Of course.
I don't know. I bet not. Number 2, skepticism.
But why?
And C, total eye roll. All right, guys, let's hear it. Let's hear you chiming in. Which one is it when a realtor gets on there and says, oh, but it's a great time to buy, which they often do. Your gut reaction is, well, come on, you guys. Okay, B, Purple Drink says B, skepticism. That's probably about right. Although I would anticipate some people would say total eye roll. Would not surprise me. Mr. OL. Okay, so Purple Drink said B, and Mr. OL says depends. If they say that in the fall, then it's A. Any other time is B. We have somebody who knows about seasonality. That's very true. Very true. All right, so let's see here now. So A, B, or C. We've got a couple responses there. Next question. Do you believe, okay, a true nationwide real estate boom is about to happen, or, is even possible?
Is it possible?
Is it even possible? What do you think?
Anything's possible.
Okay, anything's possible. What do you think? Like, could we have a boom on the way? What do you think? And I'm not talking about specifically in Dallas. I'm talking about, it says nationwide.
So you're talking like bubble booms, like California has, like the coast tend to have,
you know what, the article,
or just a boom.
The article that we're going to read doesn't
I think it's
say
possible.
it's possible.
There are some things coming up that are kind of happening that could possibly kind of bump it that way.
I can't decide. It's possible. Purple Drink says it's possible. I tend to be so immersed in Dallas Fort Worth that I'm like, what are you, out of your mind? that's like my first response. It's like,
well, even here, I think you could.
Yeah, but
boom is relative, though. The term,
it is. That's very true. It is very relative. Okay, so guys, chime in. Yes, absolutely. Okay, no, I don't think so. Or unsure, I need more data. All right, what do you think? Or is this just
data?
It's always about the data. Yes. All right, you guys chime in. What do you think? Okay, do you believe a true nationwide real estate boom is even possible? Yeah, or is about to happen? Okay. I think this is really interesting, and we're going to see like Dallas versus the nation. Okay, really interesting. Okay. Nobody chimed in. Come on, you guys. What do you think? No. Okay. Alvana, thank you. Or yeah, Alavna.
Alavna.
Thank you for chiming in. No, I don't think so. I think that a lot of people would agree with that, because I think a lot of people are like, everything is too overpriced. Okay, so I think that's what a lot of people think. Okay, I would say no, and I think that a lot of people are like, everything's headed for a crash, not a boom.
There's no crash.
Like, that's what I think people may think. Instead, they might be like, what the heck, man? And like that's just realtor hype.
There's lots of things that prove those crash bros wrong. So
the crash bros, yes. Wrong, well, that is true. I once watched a video from a crash bro who said seasonality didn't exist, and I was like, dude, I was like, come on, you just lost all credibility for me. Okay, let's take a look at the next slide. Here we go. This is a 1-year change in. So this shows the 300 largest metro area housing markets where prices are rising. Okay, let's see what Mr. Owell says. Okay, overpriced, interest rates, government shutdown. And that's why he says, I would say no. Yeah, I mean, I think those are all very valid reasons, overpriced, interest rates, government shutdown. So if you look at this, of course, you're going to know, well, I didn't go down far enough to show Dallas, but you can see up here shows biggest price appreciation. Okay, so isn't that bizarre? Okay, given what we are seeing in Texas and well, specifically in Dallas, isn't that interesting? Would you have guessed that this is happening anywhere?
$300.
Guys, he's speechless.
On a year-over-year basis, I'm not completely surprised. I mean, those are high demand areas. So
yeah,
and that's. I mean, even though there's a lot of people that have moved out of those areas, but there's still high demand areas. They're high density, areas.
Would you say probably landlocked?
Yeah. Well, on the East Coast, definitely, and some of the West Coast. It depends on what part you're talking about, and so what cities you're talking about.
So this was a really interesting article because it shows both. It shows where prices are going up, and it shows where prices are going down. Okay, so you can kind of see Dallas Fort Worth on there now. This one is the 1-year change in metro level home prices between July 2024 and July 25. Yeah. Among the 300 largest area housing markets, these 105 are seeing falling home prices on a year-over-year basis. And so with the red being the darkest, and then you kind of go up from there. So isn't that interesting, guys, that we're seeing so much change like across the nation? Like this one definitely surprised me. I did not, just being so immersed in what's going on in Dallas, I never thought that prices were going up anywhere. But okay, here we are. You can see, hopefully you guys can see Dallas right here.
There, a lot of those places where they went up, or just like in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, the high demand areas, the prices are still going up. So,
all right, let's see. Hey, PJ, Essence prices falling more in D or FW? That's a great question, because it doesn't distinguish here. That's a very good question.
Well, and how do you separate D and FW? Are you talking about just the cities, or are we talking about counties, or are we talking about?
Well, we don't even have a Fort Worth County, but yeah.
Well, it's Tarrant County.
Yeah, Tarrant County. Yeah.
But it's so.
Yeah. At what point do you draw the distinction?
Yeah.
Because you've got suburbs everywhere. You got your suburbs.
And that changes. I mean, it's very locale based here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Okay,
here we go for a close up. Dun, da, da. I put close up of everything. There's Dallas and Fort Worth. But you're right. I don't know if it's D or F. It doesn't show us. But that's where we are. So if we look up
about
here,
the overall metroplex.
The overall metroplex. Here we are. So this is our color. And you can see right here is darker. And then you've got some that are lighter. So isn't this a cool map? So we're about to read this article about a boom nationwide, and people, this is where we are. This is Dallas, and this is where the prices are. But it's clearly not a nationwide, phenomenon. Okay, another article. All right, this one caught my eye as well. 7 U.S. housing markets that are seeing home prices fall the fastest. So anytime I see an article like this, I mean, I'm just like, the first thing you think of is like, is Dallas one of them? What do you think? Take a guess. What do you think?
Overall, I mean,
Yeah.
well, yeah. I mean, if they look at the overall thing, that's. I just say here, if we're going to focus on Dallas Fort Worth, okay, it's so locale based because there's so many different types of communities and areas that
even in Dallas, we have suburbs where our homes are, selling for like, 15% above list. It's crazy. Just everything is so very, very micro.
And then there's some that are maybe not quite 15 below list, but there's definitely some good
deals out there.
So I mean, like Solana had some good corrections. I mean, because they just had so much inventory.
Yeah, what were they thinking? I do think it's going to be saturated eventually. Yeah. I do think there's so much room for growth in Salina, but you're right. That was one of them. All right. Okay. So question is Dallas one of them? And yes, it is. Okay. So it was actually number 7 and Austin was ahead of it. So is Dallas one of the 7 U.S. housing markets that are seeing home prices fall the fastest? Yes, they are. And here are the stats on it. Okay, so median list price, $425,000. Year-over-year change in list price, 3.3%. Total share of price reduced homes, 27.4%. So what do you, just looking at that number, what do you think? Would you agree down 3.3%?
Yeah, overall, probably.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Overall? Okay.
Probably.
I looked at it and I was kind of like, I'm going to check my sources.
I know. I mean, always got to go check.
Okay. Here's our source. All right. So this is our much closer to home. Sorry, this is so small, guys, but it actually says down 1.2%. So that's quite a bit different. So down 1.2% for the year. That probably would have knocked us out of 7th place, out of the top 7.
What was the time frame on the other one?
The other one, that's a good question. Let's take a look and see. Asking all the hard questions. You know what? I didn't. Oh, wait. No, it doesn't show the date. Okay. The other one I know was July over July. That's what these are. I did not grab the date, but that is a really good question because if it's a different date, it could be obviously different data. Yeah. So my bad on that. Not cutting it too much to where it doesn't show the date. But there we are. That's what Business Insider thinks. And this is what our local MLS data says.
So the difference in this doesn't necessarily grab all of the new construction sales. It'll have about probably not quite half of them.
You know what, guys? That is an excellent point. I mean, you make a great point that I think a lot of times we don't know. There's a lot of data we're blind to. Here in Dallas because so much of the new construction closes off the market. They never make it to the MLS at all. Okay, Alavana says, what are the Fort Worth suburbs falling in prices? Isn't Dallas saturated with newcomers so you can't get much acreage new construction? That's a good question.
So in general, it's not just out. I mean, it's because they're going out towards Fort Worth also. There's a lot of communities that are growing really fast out there as well. So are we talking about Fort Worth proper?
Good question. What are the Fort Worth? Well, no, she says, what are the Fort Worth suburbs? So when I think that, I'm thinking Hazlet. Now North Lake's kind of right in the middle, but mostly I do think of like Hazlet, Justin.
North of, well, Justin's.
Would you call that a Fort Worth suburb? Yeah. Crowley
Justin
on the south side.
Justin is probably closer to being a Denton suburb, but.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. So that's a great question. We'd have to look that up to see. I think right now, if you're not talking about year over year, then every place is going to have prices falling. If you're not talking about year over year, because seasonality is in full swing. Okay. And so when we have seasonality, we're going to see our prices go down. Prices always drop between, June and January. This is typically the best time of the year, Thanksgiving-ish Christmas, getting under contract during those the times that nobody wants to get under contract, that's where we see our lowest prices. And so they always bottom out in January.
So for Fort Worth suburbs, we're talking about Saginaw, Keller, Colleyville, North Richland Hills, Hazlitt, maybe Roanoke. It's kind of up there, but that's on the north side. Lower south side is not as much. It's basically just Kennedale could almost be more like Arlington's not a major city.
Yeah.
So it'd be, I guess, Kennedale and Crowley, Burleson, Pembroke.
Now, Alevna, I would guess that you're probably talking about the north side. Most people are when they ask about Fort Worth suburbs. I could be wrong, but most of the time people ask about the north before the south. So Justin, those kinds of areas. So he's actually going to look it up. Now, if you're just tuning in, guys, what we've been talking about is the fact that prices are actually going up a lot. You've got prices going up by as much as 8%. In some areas, housing markets, but then you have Dallas, such sadness where prices are going down. Well, you know what though? Is it really sadness? Because I think, an argument could be made that it's great to have opportunity.
So, Saginaw is year over year up 2.5%.
Okay. All right. So not all of them, certainly.
Let's see. Hazlitt.
Okay. Let me see.
Hazlitt is... Wow, Hazlitt is up a lot.
Oh,
but Hazlitt has a lot more new construction too. It's over 20% up in Hazlitt
year over year. Yeah. Wow, that's crazy. So that kind of, guys, that lines up with a video I made recently where I talked about how there's increasing demand on the west side, that we're seeing a lot of that. All right,
North Richland Hills is up about 9% year over year.
Okay. So far, everything that Dale is seeing is showing values are up on the west side, on the northwest side.
11% in Keller.
Okay, wow. So this is what he's talking about here is year over year, not June to current, okay? Because again, June to current, we're always going to see prices go down.
Crowley is down.
Okay.
10%. Burleson.
While you're doing that, Sunny Blake Q says, if I were to make an offer with cash in hand, how likely could I get it for $30K under listed price? You're asking the wrong question there, Sunny Blake Q. What you should be asking is, could I get it for $30,000 under value? Because remember, there's a very big difference between listed price and value. You could get that low under listed price and be upside down and overpay.
It also depends on the seller. Very much depends on the seller.
Yeah.
There are a lot of sellers this year that, yes, their home's sitting on the market for a long time, but they're like, well, we're just going to wait.
That's a good point too.
So depends on their motivation, how fast they need to move, if it's a builder, or if it's a pre-owned.
So I would say first, Sunny Blake Hugh, if that's how I'm pronouncing it, you need to make sure that you have a realtor giving you the data first, or you can hire an appraiser as well. You're not going to be able to look at sold prices on your own because Texas is a non-disclosure state. But ultimately, that's the wrong question to ask under listed price, because list price and value are completely unrelated. And don't forget that. That's super important for what we see in Dallas. Okay. Okay. Why do people ask about the north of D or the north of Fort Worth? That is a great question. And that is absolutely what they do. And I can tell you, a lot of it has to do with jobs.
There's more
jobs. Yeah.
On the north side, usually.
On the north side, you've got your office building, your technology, you've got all of that. And on the south side, you have your industrial and your warehouses.
And more country.
And a lot less densely populated.
Yeah.
You've got more open land. So that's why people are trying to shorten their commute. And also in Collin County, you have better rated schools. So that's a big part of it as well.
Because there's more business.
Let's go ahead and dig into our article today. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's do it. A real estate boom is coming. Are you ready? Okay, so hopefully you guys know by now that when they talk about it, they're talking nationally because we've just seen what Dallas is doing. Okay, very good. Times are not great for either the residential or the commercial real estate and construction industries. Very true. Thanks to chronic underbuilding, increased construction costs, labor shortages, and high interest rates, house prices are at all-time highs. Agree?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, I agree. I agree. So far, so good. I agree.
So you're in the Dallas Fort. Well, okay, we'll say overall. We'll just stick to that.
Yeah. Just sticking to overall.
Okay.
Home prices are at all-time highs, which just kind of begs the question why we're seeing so many places where prices are going up, because again, there's no logic there, even though prices are already high. So it is what it is. Okay, next one. To make matters worse, builders are slowing down, and elevated financing costs as well as economic uncertainties are keeping new projects and residential sales at bay. Okay, agree or disagree?
Yeah, probably. And I think part of what they're talking about with builders slowing down is that a lot of these other places, well, in general, there's a lot more regulations on builders and stuff. And all these others, they have even more regulations than what we have here and such.
Yeah.
Costs are a little bit more, things like that. So,
but I know,
and they don't have the space like we have here to build.
And I do know numbers by numbers. I've read this in several articles. Building really is down in Dallas. They've come to a kind of a screeching halt
every
here.
year. Well, but every year it's been going down since, what they say, since the 2008 timeframe, really.
Right, but then they had a frenzy of overbuilding, like in Salina. We saw that overbuilding.
Overall has been it's been down every year. So.
But I think in terms of like just if we were to just go, okay, 2025. Okay, building has slowed down. Okay, so this is very true. Okay, but will this last forever? No. And when things do turn around, I predict a boom unlike any other. A boom. What do you think? Possible in Dallas? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, necessarily booms. We do get uptimes, but
I mean,
on what you call a boom.
I just think, okay, but I mean, we definitely had a boom in 2020, 2021, obviously with the price escalation. But could things turn around that much in Dallas for where we're at right now? I mean, prices are dropping. We're the 7th highest in the nation right now. As you guys can see, we're not the typical realtors here because we question everything. If we were the typical realtors, we would be like, oh my gosh, you need to buy right now because we're going to see a boom. Okay, but we are not. Okay, here we go. The real estate industry, according to the National Association of Realtors and National Association of Home Builders, makes up anywhere from 14 to 18% of our country's GDP. That is huge. This means the coming boom will have an enormous impact on the U.S. economy. Now, I have definitely heard that about the GDP, and also this is a big reason why we get lagging data when we know we're like inflation should be coming down right now. It's because the housing part of it is such a big part and it lags. It's very lagging, partly because they count on rents a lot when they do the living, and rents are usually like a 12-month lease. All right, let's see here now. PJ Essence says, would DFW try to impede building with zoning? How much zoning is there compared to Houston? You want to take this one? Because that's a really good question.
It's a lot more zoning in here than there is in Houston. They just allow you to do. Houston is very open on how they do things. And actually DFW in general is one of the more restrictive areas for zoning. But I think it works very well for Dallas Fort Worth, and it makes us you get nicer communities and things like that. You don't get stacked upon houses and old. I mean, otherwise, if they didn't, then Dallas Fort Worth would be just like any of the other big cities, and we would be so overcrowded that it would be.
Although you did forget to mention that they just in the Texas legislature, they did change some, Texas-wide zoning laws that really loosened the reins and loosened regulations.
But it's still not like.
I mean, I was not happy with them. I think I made that when we talked about it. I was like, no. But they have just so probably strict, like Dale said, but not as strict, because Texas, the state, is going to force them to lighten up. With their new laws.
It's just going to cause problems.
Okay, where were we? Okay. Sellers, builders, contractors, lawyers, accountants, brokers, insurers, retails, and countless other small and mid-sized businesses that are both directly and indirectly connected to this industry will benefit. What do you think? Agree or not?
Yeah, I mean, if there's an actual boom, then they definitely benefit.
Which, by the way, guys, I think a lot of people don't really catch this, but that realtor role falls under broker. An individual realtor cannot practice without a broker sponsoring them. Like in the case of our brokerage, I'm the broker. I'm the sponsoring broker, and then you've got sales agents. We've got like sales agents that work for us. So, okay. So brokers are included. When it's talking about brokers, those are included, real estate brokers as well. Okay, so what needs to happen? I love that they ask this question. I think this is so great that they don't just go, oh, we're going to have a boom. They're like, okay, what would need to happen to have a boom? So I think it's going to be really interesting. Okay, first, I would say I agree with this. First, mortgage rates will have to fall, probably below 5.5%. Yes, there are still many people holding 2% mortgages, and they would probably grimace at the idea of getting new mortgages at today's rates, but it's not as many people as you think. I think as more time goes on, it's going to be fewer and fewer, because life events force you to have to move. There's so few that it's really their forever home. And I'm sure it hurts to give up those 3% rates, but it happens and people have to move. So in fact, let's keep reading the article here. According to the Federal Housing Financing Agency, about 22% of outstanding U.S. mortgages carry rates below 3%, whereas approximately 14.3% of outstanding mortgages have rates at or above 6%. And guys, I can tell you right now, that is a huge difference than what it was. I mean, there was a time it was like 70%, of outstanding mortgages carry rates below 3%. So that right there kind of tells you that it's waning. That people don't have a choice, that real estate, they end up having to move. So that to me is huge. I was really surprised at that number. That many have already given up. And I'm sure they were very sad. We have not given up our 3%. Thank you very much. And I'm really glad that we don't. All right, quick check-in on the comments. Marianne says, thank you guys. Always great info. You are so welcome. You are so, that's our mission right here, is to give you objective information. Okay. Not your typical realtor, that's slanted. We want to give you the honest information. And then PJSN says, is building with non-toxic materials trending in DFW? I think that's an interesting question because, it was much more green friendly. And then I think President Trump kind of pulled back on that a little bit, or there was talk of it, that it wasn't going to be like the incentives for building green. So that is a great question. That's a great question. Dale's going to look that up while we dig into our article. Okay. So wow, 22%. That's all we have left of those gorgeous 3% interest rates, guys. That means that almost 2/3 of mortgage holders have rates between 3 and 6%. They are the ones poised to come into the market when rates come down. So isn't that interesting, guys? That is not what I would have guessed at all. Almost 2/3 of mortgage holders have rates between 3 and 6%. So we don't have nearly as many, because there for a while we were talking about how I think they called it like the golden handcuffs, right? That the people might want to move, but they couldn't. Obviously, that's breaking loose now. Okay, and people are moving. So we're losing the majority of those 3%, rates. Okay, for these buyers, it will no longer be a big additional cost to buy a new home once current mortgage rates fall below 5%. So yeah, that makes sense. Now that we actually have less buyers that actually have that 3%, it makes sense that that's going to be less of a change. Okay. And so I can kind of see that. Speaking of which, let's just pop over here and take a quick look. Okay. What are today's rates? Okay. So we see that they have gone down a little bit, right? We're down to 5.89 for FHA. So really close to that 5.5. And then we're at 6.13. So it was not that long ago that we were seeing 7%. right? It was not that long ago.
Just a few months.
Just a few months. Purple Drank says, I am okay with giving up 2.6% because California homes are becoming unaffordable. I would have guessed they became unaffordable a long time ago. But that's interesting. Yeah. Worth moving over, huh? To hopefully a more affordable place, although Dallas is not as affordable as it used to be by any means. Okay. Back to our article. We got a good idea of where rates are right now. Okay, already at today's 6.2%, which is what we just looked at, pretty close, rate on a 30-year mortgage, they can already save about $200 a month. That is true. On a $550,000 house compared to the beginning of the year and its 7% rate. Yeah, I mean, that's not a matter of opinion. That is that's just math.
Yeah.
Okay, that's just math.
Yep.
And the people that say, no, prices aren't going to go up, the math when rates come down is just there, that you can't just argue that or call it subjective. It's true math. Okay. So yeah. So people that are buying right now are saving about $200 a month. It's very true. All right. The trend is headed in the right direction. If inflation expectations are curtailed, did I say that right? Curtailed and bond market yields, which drive mortgage rates, decline a bit more. We could see that happening in the next 12 months. Yep. Yeah, I think so. This is one reason when I have sellers talk to me about when they should sell, I'm very honest that they probably should wait a little bit. I'm going to be brutally honest, even if it means we don't have, the listing, because I think that probably rates are going to come down. And then we're going to,
it's best.
Yeah, if they can wait until spring, it really is best. And I know that's surprising honesty coming from a realtor. You don't expect that. On the commercial side, thanks to the Fed's recent rate cut, prime rates are now at 7.25%. Another percentage point drop could bring many buyers off the sidelines. And I think that would be a good thing for the commercial industry. What do you think? Yeah, I think so. Recent legislation.
The commercial industry definitely needs some.
It does need some help, doesn't it? All right, and guys. By the way, as we're reading this, if you have any questions, about new construction, about the various suburbs, please pop it in the chat. We always like to come on live, once a week, so we can answer your questions directly. I mean, I'm doing videos, putting those videos out there, but the live is so helpful for us being able to answer your questions in real time. So definitely pop those in the chat. Recent legislation giving significant tax deductions for buying and building new manufacturing facilities will also be a big help. And it's talking about commercial there. And again, I think commercial's hurting. So I think that's actually a really good thing. All right, let's see. Next page, stock prices. Okay, this is also talking about what would need to happen. Stock prices will also have to hold or increase. U.S. markets remain near all-time highs, and because of that, household wealth remains high as well. Agree?
So we did just have a drop, pretty good drop in the stock market.
Did we today?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think a lot of people hold their wealth?
So, and I think the article kind of maybe goes around this a little bit too, a little bit later on, but I mean, there's definitely a lot of investors and stuff in different, and you'll see in some parts of the country where there's some homeowners that are leaning towards more investing, stock market investing, and I think that partly that's due to the type of industries they're in and stuff like that too. But yeah. But if it goes down, though, I mean, that means then the rates on
good point.
On the treasury bonds are going to go down because they're going to be moving more over to that and stuff. So
that's a really good point. That is an excellent point.
That means that the mortgage rates go down.
Yeah. Wow. Good. Excellent points. The guy's smart, man. Those are great points. And I can say experientially, I'm always the one that meets buyers first. It's always me as buyers reach out. And one thing I do hear a lot is that they're going to use their 401k, which is probably in the stock market, and they're going to cash out on that to do their down payment. So we do see that, we do hear that quite a bit. And again, I'll tell you something in pretty soon here that we also see. Okay, stock market is significantly intertwined with the U.S. economy and drives wealth, confidence, and purchasing power. I agree. A drop in values would be a significant setback for the real estate industry. Yeah, I think so, because I think a lot of people get their down payments that way.
Yeah.
Although core economic metrics, GDP, jobs, capital availability remain relatively good, there's a growing threat of a bubble caused by a potential collapse in crypto, or whether or not the AI boom is for real. So when it says core economic metrics and it includes the word jobs, kind of loses me there.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That, and also I'm not sure if they see signs of a like a a collapse in crypto or anything. And right now AI is actually bringing in a lot of a lot of business and stuff. So I don't. Yeah, it's hard to say.
It's interesting because I think it costs a lot of jobs, but I also think it brings in jobs. So you've got both.
So the jobs, I get what you're saying there, but yeah.
I love how real this article is, because it doesn't just say we're headed for a boom, rah, rah, rah. It's like, yeah, we could be, but these things would need to happen. And then the question is, are they going to happen? So I love how real this article is. Assuming these events don't happen, which no one can yet predict. So it's saying assuming that these remain good and don't crash. Okay, is what they're saying, collapse. Assuming these events don't happen, which no one can yet predict, a continued strong stock and bond market will give more assurance to both potential and existing homeowners to increase their activity in the market once interest rates decline. So if we get that trifecta where stocks and bonds are still good, so people are still seeing strength in their investments, and then as well as mortgage rates coming down. So there's kind of three factors there, because people have to be comfortable in their liquidity and their ability to put a nice down payment, as well as still have reserved capital. Okay, let's see here now. Third, income levels. Okay, I thought this was interesting. This surprised me.
Yeah, I know.
Third, income levels must keep rising faster than inflation. Payroll company ADP has reported that the U.S. economy lost 32,000 jobs last month. That's pretty much ADP is all we have. With the Bureau of Labor Statistics on hiatus due to the shutdown, the ADP number was widely reported as, and deservingly so, not great news for the economy. Yeah, you think? I think I would agree. Okay, but, and this is interesting, because this is not what I expected. ADP also reported, and remember, this is actual data from their payroll system covering millions of workers, that over the last month, wage gains among job stayers was 4.5%, and among job leavers, 6.6%.
Wow.
So I did not expect that.
Pretty good increases.
Those are good increases. I did not expect to see that at all. I thought for sure that inflation was probably ahead of wage growth. So that one surprised me. Let's see here now. Inflation is currently running at about 2.9%. I think now it's at 3%.
It just went, yeah.
So wages seem to be staying well above price increases. Many younger earners have chosen to stay out of the housing market and instead pay rent, which makes economic sense in these high interest rate times. I can tell you guys, I agree with this because a lot of our buyers are renting, and not because they needed to fix their credit, and not because they needed to make more money. They're just saving.
They're just
they're just smart. They save a lot of money. They stay in the apartment and they save, for years, and then they're ready to move. So I can tell you that I agree with that. I think that a lot of people do rent. But with income staying so far above inflation and rates decreasing in the future, I can see many moving from being renters to ownership in the next few years. So that's interesting as well. I mean, what do you think? Agree? Disagree?
Yeah, I can see that. If that happens that way, yeah, definitely.
With income staying so far above inflation and rates decreasing in the future. When you've got both of those elements combined, okay, I think there could be true. Fourth, okay, and this is one I'm also seeing experientially. Boomers will keep passing on the wealth. The number of people ages 65 and older is projected to more than double by 2040, reaching about 78.3 million and a total of 88.8 million in 2060. I absolutely see this. We get buyers in the $1 million range all the time, and they're in the $1 million range because they've inherited this massive amount of money and they choose to invest it and basically put it into real estate. So, when we get asked a lot, well, Dallas is unaffordable. Nobody can afford to buy a house anymore. People can, and the boomers, that's a lot of it. That's a lot of it. The boomers are cash rich and then cash heavy. And then when they, they pass along that cash to their heirs. And so I'm definitely seeing this a lot of our high-end buyers, it's because they've had inheritance. So this is a good point I would agree with. Okay. America stands at the edge of the most dramatic shift in personal finance ever measured, a generational transfer. Look at this, of nearly 124 trillion.
Yes.
Oh, whoa. In assets over just 25 years. Wow, 124 trillion. That is crazy. But like I said, I'm seeing that play out. I am absolutely seeing that play out in the market. Okay. According to a wealth transfer report from Boston wealth management firm Caruli Associates, published in June 2025, a combination of demographic and economic forces will see a record amount of wealth move from baby boomers and older Americans to heirs, widows, and charities by 2048. So this wealth transfer, and like I said, I'm absolutely boots on the ground, so to speak, with the buyers that I'm talking and that we're working with. We're seeing a lot of that. A lot of them that they're able to afford these higher end homes. Okay. Now that federal estate tax exemptions have been permanently secured at high levels, with gift tax exemptions rising, a growing number of boomers and Gen Xers are putting money into trusts and other vehicles to begin passing down this wealth to the next generation.
Interesting.
I'm seeing that too. I'm seeing that activity where wealth is positioned into trusts. So seeing that as well. And as these people pass on, yes, I'm one of them, the article, even more wealth will pass down from them. This transfer of wealth will play a significant role toward helping the younger generations buy homes. So for those of you, that are skeptical of how people are buying in this market, you can know that that's a part of it, that's a big part of it that you maybe hadn't thought of. And it's allowing people to buy. Everything is a cycle. Very true. For the last few years, the real estate industry has been moving downward, but that will inevitably change. Okay.
If you let the economy just go, it is a cycle. It's natural.
That is true. That is true. Will it change in Dallas? It's already changed in a lot of places. Prices are going up in a lot of places. How long is it going to take?
I think it'll come back around some. I mean, we're very rate sensitive here, so rates come down. It definitely is. It'll definitely change.
That is an excellent point. That is such a good point, because so many people, and we talk to them all the time, desperately want to move, right? And they're just waiting for rates to come down just a little bit more. And if
the economy goes up, there's definitely going to be more jobs here, and that'll bring in a lot more people again too. So just like what we had before.
I would say year over year, we are seeing less relocators, but a lot of people who relocated a couple years ago, and they decided to rent to get to know the area. And so all of those people are still buying houses. They just decided, and I think probably wisely so, to wait and get to know the area. I mean, I hear that. That makes sense to me. Okay. And when that change happens, this industry will see a boom unlike any boom it has seen before.
That's the one I'm like, unlike, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
Overall, I guess I would have to look back at trends, history and stuff and see for sure. But
when will this happen? No one knows, but soon, assuming the above factors continue on their trend. So a boom unlike any boom it has seen before. I kind of don't even want to see that. I mean, I don't even want that to happen in Dallas, because we used to be a really affordable place, so I don't know. I mean, I would just be like, no, go away. Take your boom northeast.
We're still going to be more affordable than all those other big city areas, though. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them.
We are. Yeah, I agree.
So,
I think, the relocators
and
we get.
and the income level is going to be higher too. So
Yeah. I think you're right. And we're seeing that the people that come from like New York, California, Oregon, Washington, they're all just like, oh, everything's more affordable here. Anybody that comes from Oklahoma is like, what are you guys crazy? These prices are so expensive.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. So if you are running a business in or related to this industry, hold firm, build cash, prepare for growth. Okay. Hold firm, build cash, prepare for growth. And that is
article.
It really is, I think, an interesting article, because, when you see the title, you're just like, oh yeah, it's probably written by a realtor wanting to get sales. And I just love how balanced it is in saying these things would have to happen.
It's possible.
Yeah, that it's possible. But these, and a lot of what was on there, most of it I agreed with. I do think that Dallas is very rate sensitive. But we just have to think about where we're coming from. When you hear the word boom somewhere else may be different than boom here because of what our market's like. Okay, let's take a look at some comments here. Okay, this is a good question.
We'll go back real quick. One of them asked about the non-toxic thing in it.
Okay.
According to a few articles here, that the Dallas-Fort Worth area is considered one of the top areas for non-toxic building, or green building, as they say. The role of the LEED builders in Dallas-Fort Worth is a big deal. So LEED.
So certified. I guess you could say it is trending. All right. Okay. What are the affordable suburbs now in the DFW area? Okay. Question for you, Alavna. And if I'm not saying that right, I'm sorry. Question for you is, do school ratings matter? Okay. And also, does it matter to you if they go up in value, if they are positioned with, higher median sales prices, more higher owner occupants? Because
we can definitely find some cheap areas, or let's use less expensive areas. So it depends. It's almost like you'd have to do your little market thing. Like, and what did we see last week when we did that? Where were the
we didn't go micro to the cities. That's the issue. So really kind of depends on what your goals are, what other criteria you have. Let me see if you made any other comments. Okay, here we go. She did make more comments. School ratings don't matter, but want to see the area go up in value. So what I would suggest then, if you're kind of taking that into consideration, is to focus on areas that have a higher owner occupancy rate, as opposed to areas that are just almost entirely rentals.
If you go to citydata.com, you can look up the cities, and it actually gives you that percentage.
Any place that you see Lennar having a high presence is going to be an affordable suburb. But Lennar encourages selling their homes to investors. And so they're going to have like a very low, basically, if you had a suburb with a high owner occupancy rate, when Lennar steps into the equation, it's going to change everything, because they actively recruit
areas
investors.
that have went that way. Princeton went that way a lot. Little Elm kind of didn't start out that way, but it has recently kind of gone more towards rentals a lot. The South Fort Worth area is that way. Actual South and Southeast Dallas proper are that way. So,
those are really good question. And you definitely do have far more affordable suburbs. Like, I think of areas like Princeton, where the median sales price is now under 300,000, but you've got a lot of Lennar there. And so you've got, you're losing the higher owner occupancy rate. But there's a lot more, especially on the South side, like Crowley, that you can find affordable suburbs. But again, it's going to depend on, I would almost say, rather than focusing on affordable suburbs, I would say focus on affordable pockets within a more expensive suburb. Okay, that's your better strategy. Okay, affordable pockets within a more expensive
Right
suburb.
now, you could find some of those in Salina. So
I was going to say the same
Yeah.
thing. That
Yeah.
whole legacy area,
yeah,
you can
so,
find those are a lot more affordable. Sutton Fields has seen a lot of price drops. So that Alavna, and again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name, but I would say to focus instead on what are the pockets within more expensive suburbs. I think that that's just a better strategy. Okay. Coming from Boston, would you recommend renting first before buying to know the areas well first? No kids yet. I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah, we've had several that, though, we've had a few though that did that and they rented for a bit and they regretted that they didn't buy sooner. But yeah. So you kind of have to work your timing on that and figure out what makes sense. But it is one way to figure that out. And I see the next question kind of goes along with that too.
Mr. OL.
About like if you're going to build or something, you can do that as well. Most of our clients that are building from out of state, though, they do the new. Oh, maybe that was Purple Drinks actually. That about the new construction.
Okay.
They're just building and then they move when it's done. So
renting before buying, get a lay of the land. Would it be better to buy new construction than move to Texas and rent until the home is complete? For all of these, I would say, how much do you trust your realtor? Okay, because if you know what you're looking for, you're like, Wendy, I want a suburb like this or a suburb like this. I always, when I'm talking to buyers, I'm like, what's your geographic anchor? What kinds of things are you looking for in a suburb? So if you worked with someone like us, where we've really got a strong knowledge of the area, an argument could be made to go ahead and buy when you move here, especially if we know the market prices are probably going to go up, and especially this time of year. Now, I would say if you didn't feel that kind of confidence, or if you really didn't know what you liked, probably makes sense to rent first. Okay. But if you're, for example, if somebody reaches out to me, they want rural and they're in the $1 million price range, I can immediately give them a handful of suburbs. They're going to be a really good fit. And then we can go and we can give them a tour of that city with video footage so that they can get a feel for it. We did have a buyer once who literally did not see the house that they bought until they pulled up with a moving truck. We guided the whole process and they loved the house they got. So I would say quality of your realtor, how much they know the area, and then, how much you know what you want. Okay, so I think those are all dynamics to take into place. And then we saw this one before, school ratings don't matter. And so
those school ratings can affect the value, though.
I asked because I'm selling my property in California, so unsure how it works. I know Purple Drink, you're on here every week, so I feel like you've got a real educated working knowledge of the market. And so just your awareness, your proactivity, I think, and YouTube is just splattered with model home tours and city tours and neighborhood tours. You can get so much information that way.
I would say, so you're looking at buying new construction, like to have a home built. You just kind of have to look at your timing and how's it going with the sale of your home. Where are you at? Are you going to need that sell to be able to move, to build a purchase in? So maybe if you're going to do that, you might want to wait a little bit and try to get it sold, and then if the timing didn't work out, maybe rent for a little bit. But because builders don't like contingency, so they will work with you on a build job, but there is a point before the home is complete that they are going to require the contingency to be weighed.
Yeah. Oh, Purple Drink just added a little bit more comment. Properties in my community average about a month when they sell. That's not bad at all. That's actually much better than what we see here, especially with pre-owns.
Depending on the area, but yeah, for most part.
Yeah, depending on the area. That's a good point. So you're taking, if you do a pre-owned Purple Drink, you can have a contingency that is contingent on your home selling. If you do new construction, they're not even going to let you have that. They're not, unless it's a new build. But when I think, inventory, they're not going to let you have a contingency. So then you're not protected if your house doesn't sell.
Right.
So that's something to take into consideration. So that means it's a great question. You seem like a really heavy researcher. You may know well enough to buy when you get here. Oh, I was going to say this. Kind of buy during the winter. And if it's not this year, if you have flexibility, wait another year and buy next winter. If you're not ready yet, you can get up to 10% in a difference in equity, depending on if you buy in June or January. And that's very real numbers. I mean, in your upper price ranges, that could be like $50,000 in equity. So I would say that Purple Drank. I'm not sure what your schedule is, but I would have that recommendation. Okay. Let's see here now. Hey, PJ Essence, does your broker group specialize in D or FW or both? Do you have any wait list? Last summer, we did have a wait list. We had quite a bit. This summer and this winter, we've been able to bring in enough agents that we're able to use them uniformly. And I love that you used broker group instead of team, because a lot of them, they are just loosely related teams. And so you don't have one that's more experienced than the others. When you hear the word team, you can know they're all lateral in terms of they're just sales agents. In our situation, I'm the broker. When we had a wait list last year, it's because I'm very picky about who I'll accept to join our brokerage. I just have very, very high standards.
Yeah,
and
we want them to treat the clients at the same level that we're going to treat them. So
yeah. And for them to be a part of our brokerage, we just have really high standards, and we're very heavy on the training, and we're very heavy on compliance. I mean, you can ask the agents, like if they, like we're monitoring everything. So you get really good quality when you work with us, because it's a broker group and not team. Okay. Whenever they say me and my team, okay, they're no more experienced than anyone else on their team. It's very loosely related versus when you've got a broker, you're going to get a lot more quality control, because I can choose who is sponsored and who is a part of our group. So it's a great question. All right, let's see here now. Mr. OL says, my issue is what I know I want in a new build, which is why I want to rent. We prefer to pick our options while we rent and the home is built. There's a lot to be said of that, because a new build takes a lot of detail, and it's just easier than when you're trying to fix your house up to sell, to have to think about both. That's tough.
And
Okay, I'm waiting till fall of 2026.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to go see see other homes and get ideas about what you want to do and everything too. So
Mr. Purple Drank, one thing I was going to tell you, you put here, I am waiting until the fall of 2026. Something to keep in mind is that a new build's schedule is different than inventory and pre-owned. So for new builds, that's actually a more popular time for them to get started, because people are thinking, hey, I want it done by next summer. And so you actually have more of a high demand time frame for new builds, whereas just the opposite is true. We follow that seasonal path. So think about time in terms of, with new builds, think about completion, when they're going to be complete. Okay. And also with new builds, time it to where you don't have to sell in January. Okay. Take my word for that. So you've got a lot more control with a new build. So think about when you're going to have to sell. But if you're saying, you're going to rent anyway, okay, that allows that control. Getting things ready right now. Awesome. That's very smart to be a year in advance like that. I love that. If I plan on making an offer 20% less than the list price for a house that's been on the market for 149 days, if they say no, how often should we follow up? Weekly or monthly? Okay. First of all, Melstar 31. Let's revisit this word list price. Okay. You're coming from the wrong angle here. Okay. You've got to remember, list price has nothing to do with value. Okay. Sometimes it does. A lot of times it doesn't.
It matches.
Sometimes it matches. Sometimes it lines up. Sometimes it absolutely does not. So
sometimes it's below, sometimes it's above.
Yeah. So if you go into an overpriced house and you offer 20% less, but it's overpriced by 30%, okay, like you are, you're still going to be upside down. So kind of change that list price verbiage to, what it should be listed for.
I would just tell you, though, your answer about following up and just whether they're going to accept it or not, you got to try to figure out what the motivation is of the seller. So, and because I just worked on something like this, and the seller is not motivated yet. They're doing a build job and they have time to wait, and they just decided to put it on the market anyway, and they haven't changed their price all this time. So it just, it really, and they didn't want to accept a much lower and they didn't want to even do a counter offer either.
Yep. Sometimes they won't even counter.
Sometimes when you offer something really low right up front like that, you'll just say, well, they're just say, well, I don't care. I don't want to deal with them. So, especially, and that's their right. They can do that. So.
Especially with individual sellers, they tend to take things so much more personally. Mm-hmm. Like if you were to offer 20% along with maybe like something, an explanation, like, this is generally what it's qualified for or something, or, what I'm qualified for, to kind of soften the blow. It's not a bad strategy.
And definitely what Wendy was saying before too, knowing the value helps a lot too. Because then you can present what the value, what the sales are, then that may match up with what you're offering. So
that is such an excellent point. Always, as we're reaching out to the listing agent, we're saying, hey, just out of curiosity, how did you arrive at that price?
Yeah.
Right. Because we're not seeing it. We don't see that it's supported. Yeah. And that immediately puts them on, well, and then so much of the time they'll just be like, well, that's what my seller thought it was worth. It's like, that's not.
And then it really helps with builders because showing data like that, because they present that to their management, and then there's more chances of getting those accepted. Yeah.
In fact, one thing that we always tell our buyers is that don't negotiate if you're looking at the model home without us. Do not entertain their negotiations, and that we will not negotiate on our first time there because we don't know what the market value is, what it should be listed at. We will not start negotiating at list price. We absolutely will not. So to say 20% below list price is meaningless.
Yeah.
Okay. You've got to go off of what the list price should be. And you're not going to know that. Honestly, guys, you're not going to know that without a realtor or an appraiser because you don't have access to the data. I'm sorry. It's true. I've had people argue with me about this, and I'm like, sorry, you're wrong. Texas is a non-disclosure state. You cannot access that information. So you've got to get that information first. And then maybe you're saying, okay, so let's say the house is worth $330. You may offer 20% below that.
Yeah.
Okay. So 20% below that. So think in terms of that.
And the follow-up time, that really, again, that depends partly what you figure out from their motivation, but weekly seems like it could be pestering, but I don't know.
Maybe monthly. Think about, especially if they've
you'll just have to watch the home and see if it's getting, and you have to figure out, okay, are they getting other offers or are they getting more interest? If they're getting a lot of interest, it may be gone in a month. So I don't know.
Maybe line it up once a month with when they've if they've moved
out. How bad you want the home.
Okay, that's a good point too. That's a good point. Line it up with when they've had to make their mortgage payment. If they've moved out and they're making another payment, line it up with when they've just had to write that painful check. They're making 2 mortgage payments. Okay. How can we fairly assess where is safer than others in DFW? There are so many tools for this. PJ Essence, this is excellent. So just plug in with all these tools like crimegrade.org, even Trulia. And there's just so many. There's probably like at least 10. That will give you that data, and a lot of them.
Citydata.com.
So I would get the data on there and just kind of even like cross-reference, and you're going to be able to figure it out. You really are. So that data is definitely there. And Melstar 31 says, thank you. Great advice. We'll check out the value of the home with my realtor. Absolutely. I absolutely do that. Yeah. And ask for a market analysis and then a narrative after the market analysis so that you can know it's accurate. So ask them to justify their numbers. Any realtor, I can tell you right now, we're trained in that when we become a realtor. Not all realtors use it, and not all realtors know how to do it. Like, we train our agents very strategically, very almost, you could say, like rigidly, like we make them have a checklist and then when they do it, they send it to us and we decide if we approve it, so market value is that important, that market analysis. So definitely do that. Okay. And if you guys get anything out of this live stream, well, you get a lot out of this because this was a lot of good information. Just remember that list price has nothing to do with value. Okay. So if you think you're getting a good deal because a builder came off $50,000 from the list price, okay, you're not. I mean, maybe you are, but you're blind to that. So you've got to make sure and go off of the market analysis. So important. All right. No more questions. So I think, I think we are going to run. It's been over an hour. Wow. We really had the gift of gab tonight. It was more you than me, pretty sure. No. Okay. All right. Well, you guys listen, have a good week, and we will talk to you again next Tuesday, same time, same place, as you always say. Same bat
channel, same bat time.
Yeah. All right.
See ya.
All right. See you guys later. Bye-bye.
Bye.